Do you want to explain what it is? The cryptid court, I mean,
Okay.
or how it works?
Oh, cryptid court. Well, two people talk about cryptids, one cryptid, and we put it on trial. One person explains why it could be real, and the other person explains why that's a silly idea. Am I for it or against it today?
Oh, I thought we were... Well, I made all my arguments for, so...
Oh, well, okay then.
Did you make your...
I didn't prepare any arguments.
Okay.
It's off the cuff.
All right.
So, yeah. But I did learn about the natural environment, Lake Tianchi.
Yeah, so we're doing the Lake
Which-
Tianchi monster.
Yeah. It's a lake on the border of North Korea and China, which that's a pretty, I mean, if any place is unstudied, that's one, right?
Yeah.
Which already is interesting. And I couldn't understand what it's even supposed to look like is the thing. It's so vague. It's just like something swimming around. Maybe there's multiple of them. Sometimes they have a human head. I don't know. The lake is a volcanic caldera. So
And what does that mean?
it's a crater from a volcanic eruption. The volcano in question is Pakdu Mountain. Or I was looking up how to pronounce Korean words, and I think I just forgot. Pakdu.
Yeah, I think... Yeah. Oh, never mind. I thought I looked up how to say the lake's name in Korean, but I guess I forgot.
Chunji.
Chunji, okay.
Yeah, it's Chunji in Korean and Tianchi in Chinese. Tianchi.
And sometimes translated to Heaven's Lake.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So... I guess just a few other facts I wanted to say about the lake really quickly. The average depth is about 204 meters or 669 feet, and its deepest part is 373 meters or 1,223 feet. So there's a few hurdles to get over from my side, which is because the lake is so high up. It's 2,000 meters high, or over 7,000 feet. And where it is, 8 months of the year, the area is covered in snow and ice. And the average temperature is between 1 and 11 degrees Celsius, which is 30 to 50-ish Fahrenheit, I think.
The whole year?
8 months of the year.
Oh, you said the average temperature. That's the
the average temperature throughout the year, sorry.
Oh.
Wow. So not a place you'd imagine life would thrive. China's global television network stated no animal can survive here. However, I guess I'll start by just a few of the sightings. I've read that this goes back like hundreds and hundreds of years, but maybe they're not translated into English, or I don't know, there's not many sources on this one. But one of the earlier ones is from 1903, where the creature apparently attacked people, but it was shot and then returned to the lake. In 1962, 2 creatures were seen in the water, and there was nearly 100 witnesses. Okay? What are you laughing at?
Well, were you able to interview any of these witnesses?
From the 1960s? No.
Okay.
Maybe they'll come on the podcast. In July of 2002, there are also many other witnesses of the creature. And someone from the local tourism office even saw one. I think his name was Zhu Xunlin. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, which I probably am. And he said the monster came 10 meters from the shore and it jumped out of the water like a seal. So remember that. And I have a few more things I want to say, but do you want to jump in on any skepticism?
So you're getting these sources from Chinese state TV?
Yeah, some of them are. But
it's interesting because...
But to be fair, most of the reporting that's done around that area is from like government-controlled news organizations, so it's not...
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's hard. This isn't even for or against the existence of this monster. It's just more like, how much can we really trust? Because there's only one source. I don't know.
One of my sources is a Japanese newspaper.
Okay.
From someone from North Korea that's going to come up.
It's just, it's hard to prove or disprove something that is so closed off, you know?
Yeah. But tourists can visit there, though.
Yeah. So, what else do I have to say about this? I guess it's weird that it's so cold. And so far, you haven't really given me a description of this creature other than it jumped out like a seal. Because I read that they stock the lake with fish, There's one particular kind of fish that is doing well there called the Tianchi trout.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw one thing that said maybe the sightings are mutated or just weird images of the fish.
Right.
Because, like, in mountain lakes like that, things just don't survive. They have to be regularly restocked with fish for the sport fishermen. And it just doesn't,
But
like, again, no one's telling me what this creature's supposed to be. So how am I supposed to make a conclusion? Like, if they're saying, oh, it's a fish, then yeah, sure, it's a fish.
Well, I think some people have, like on cryptid forums, they say that it's a large pinniped. So sort of like a large seal-looking creature.
Okay, one seal or multiple seals, right? Because they've said that there are multiples.
Yeah.
I guess I could see seal because I did see something that said it had a human head, and that's what everyone says about manatees.
Yeah, and even mermaid sightings.
I guess manatees aren't seals, but like just the idea that people confuse a mammal in the water with a human head swimming creature is very frequent.
So that's the thing. It does seem like there is, for the statement that no animal could survive there, that there is something living there.
But the fish probably die every winter.
Do they, though?
Well, maybe not, but yeah, I guess it's weird that the government said no animal can survive there because fish can survive winters and stuff. So
yeah, because
it's interesting. Maybe they're trying to hide it. It's hard to say. But if they're trying to hide it, though, they wouldn't be publishing on their news the information about it. So it's really I prefer when I'm evaluating a source to imagine what their goal is. And here I'm just perplexed as to what they're trying to do. Like, if it's real and they're trying to hide it, they're not doing a good job. And if it's not real, but they're trying to act like it is, they're still not really doing a good job. So.
All right. This has sort of gone in a direction I didn't think it would go in.
What do you want me to say?
No, you can say whatever. I'm just picking up the pieces. I guess I'm just going to plow ahead a little bit and say that we're kind of talking as if something definitely was seen there.
I didn't say that. I said I can't trust this source very much.
Okay. But in September of 2007, a reporter, I hope I can say this name right, Sho Yong-shun, he went to the lake at sunrise because he wanted to try and record the sunrise over the lake, but it was cloudy, so he couldn't do that. But he saw something even better. He had a sighting, and he had a camera with him. Now, even though it was a video camera, we don't have the video, but...
And why not? Where is it?
I don't know. I just can't find it anywhere. But there are stills online of it, and you can see multiple like dark objects, and like they're really far away because they're on like the slopes of a mountain. But you can see dark objects, and you can see like the ripples, like that V shape behind them. So it looks like there's something moving through the water, or some things.
Are people allowed to swim in the lake?
I don't know. I imagine it's pretty cold.
Well, yeah, but you can wear a wetsuit.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's some information I need, if people could swim in it, all the kinds of fish that they use to stock the lake.
Yeah, well, I guess we could jump ahead. I read it was a researcher from North Korea who gave an interview to a Japanese newspaper. And in the 1960s, they stocked the lake with the trout, and there was two other fish. Carp and mosquito eaters, I think. And they found that they were able to survive in the lake. And I think it was because they were able to feed off insects or, I don't know, small animals getting blown into the lake by the wind.
Right, but I'm saying, what if this footage is just some fish?
But would fish go up to the surface and swim like...
If they're eating insects, they would.
In a straight line for like 10 minutes?
I don't know.
I mean, maybe they're like a unique species or have become a unique species of fish. Like the Tianchi trout or whatever, but maybe there's some kind of seal.
Yeah. So what was the seal eating before they stocked it with fish? Or did it come in after they started stocking it?
Well, I'd imagine that there were already fish in the lake. Because if those other ones could survive, what would stop previous fish from being in the lake and being able to survive?
Well, it's not a lake that's fed by a river. How would the fish even get there? That's a common characteristic of these mountainous lakes, is that they're from sort of an isolated... They're in a crater. So the water started gathering from rain, not from a river feeding it. And they usually have to be stocked. Like, I don't see why there would be fish there. Well, yeah, why would there be fish there?
Well, how do we know that there wasn't a river feeding it? Like, this lake is supposedly 12 million years old.
Because it's on the top of a mountain. How the river would have to come from somewhere carrying fish.
Okay, but what about Lake Baikal? That's like, how high up is that? Lake Baikal?
Is it on a mountain or is it on a plain though?
Well, I guess it's not on a mountain, but it's 450 meters above sea level.
I just don't understand the logistics of this, how it would stock itself with fish, given it was created by a volcanic crater, and the fish would have to swim upstream from wherever this... I mean, do we even know, does it empty out from a river?
Yeah, it does. There's a waterfall that empties out of it.
So the fish would have to swim upstream from this waterfall from wherever, like a really long way, I presume, and then live in this super cold lake. And then there have to be enough of them doing that to create a population for this seal to discover it. The seal that is for some reason in the mountains. And then the seal's like, oh yeah, here's what I've been looking for these multiple days hiking over the mountains with no food. Finally. I don't know.
So within the last few million years, is it not possible that there could have been a river connected to this lake, like even after its formation?
I just don't, I can't picture that. Maybe, I guess. I'm not a geography expert or a geology expert. It just seems fishy. Fishy to me.
Yeah, I guess a bit on the back foot here now. I don't know.
I thought you prepared notes.
I do. I'm looking at my
And I
notes.
didn't prepare anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess there's also, but people say this about like every lake monster, that there's like underground tunnels that lead to other bodies of water. I mean, I guess it is a pretty deep lake, and I don't think it's been surveyed, but I don't know. I was sort of thinking perhaps there could have been some kind of river or other body of water that was connected to it. You know, the way like Lake Baikal and the Caspian Sea are both landlocked, but they have like an abundance of different life, unique life, especially like Lake Baikal. Yeah,
well, isn't that because, wouldn't that have to do with tectonic plates and the whole area used to be underwater, and then the Earth's crust rose, isolating that bit of water
I think
create Lake Baikal?
Is like right
or is
on,
that not true?
Right on like a fault line, and that's why it's so deep, because it's being like...
Okay, so wasn't it covered in water before? The whole surroundings were covered in water, and it was essentially like part of the ocean, and then it got cut off, versus a mountain erupting, creating a crater, totally isolated. I don't know.
All right.
Are you
Okay, I'm
giving
going to
up?
shift gears very quickly and say, well, I mean, I guess there's two angles I can go from here. So I guess the first one would be, this is sort of the more out there one. Could they have, for some reason, put seals in to see if they could survive?
Oh, I could totally see that. Like, if they're already going to put in fish. This is what I'm saying. What I want to know, more than is it real, is what's the angle that the state media is trying to play here? Why are they allowed...
There's not that many sources on it, so it feels like they barely care that much.
Well, I know, but how easy is it for a Japanese publication to get an interview with a North Korean citizen? How, much effort, does someone have to approve these things that are being put out of the video from this region and, the government statement about what can and can't survive in that lake? I mean, is there an angle that they're trying to put forth? Could that explain? Is there some conspiracy thing with the seal that they're stalking? Or, I don't know, is it just a weird blip and there's not really anything at all?
Yeah.
I'm just curious about the angle of the media rather than... I guess I want to know what's going on, but...
It's also difficult.
I want to get down to...
There's two different governments involved, basically.
Right. But they're basically going to say the same thing.
Yeah, maybe, but I could imagine one doing something without telling the other as well.
Right, so North Korea suddenly got its hands on a seal.
Well, they're the ones that put the trout in, right? And the fish. They did all the fish
did
stuff.
they? I'm not sure.
It was... Well, that's what I read from the interview.
But yeah, it's interesting. I think thinking of it from a government sort of conspiracy, more cover-up angle is way more interesting than trying to imagine a seal somehow getting naturally into this lake that has naturally stocked itself with fish.
Yeah, I can see that. I guess it's just because it doesn't sound like a regular seal. It sounds like sort of bigger and stuff. I was going to be like, try and take an angle that, well, if it was there for millions of years, it might be unique. Like that's the other thing. It's freshwater. So there are like the Lake Baikal seals are freshwater, but most seals are marine mammals.
Yeah.
But then
maybe they took some seals from Lake Baikal and just plopped them in the lake.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Or then the other thing is, like you're saying about the fish, like where do you draw sort of the line? It's sort of like how some people say that maybe Nessie is a big eel. It's like, well, there are eels in Loch Ness, so how big before it can be classified as the monster?
Well, that's what I said. I said, how do you know it's not just the fish?
Well, if it is the fish, does that count?
Well, that's a philosophical question of what you're looking for when you're looking for a cryptid.
Yeah, but
Like, are you trying to prove that the sightings are legitimate, or are you trying to prove that what people believe is real is real? Because you could either say none of the sightings are real, it's all made up or imagined, it's all false. Or you could
there's
say,
also photos.
oh, the sighting, they really saw something. They really took a picture of something, but it's just fish. Or you could say, they really saw something, no one believes them, but it's actually a seal, you know? It's like different layers of what are you looking for here?
But what I'm trying to say is, if it is a fish and it's this trout that has adapted particularly to this lake, and I guess it must be larger than average, like what does it have to do to qualify?
That's what I'm saying. It's a philosophical question for the people interested in this particular cryptid. Would they be happy if it turned out it was just a big trout? I don't know.
Okay.
Or are they always going, if it's someone says it's the trout, are they always going to be looking for the evidence that it wasn't and that it's actually, you know, what they think it is, which is a seal or something else?
Yeah. Don't really know where to go from. I read a book by this cryptozoologist once where he investigated a pond monster that was eating pigeons, and it turned out it was a big catfish that lived in the pond. So, like, did he prove the monster was real, or did he...
He got to the bottom of the rumors and the sightings, and he didn't prove the monster was real, but he legitimized the sightings and explained them. Okay.
So, slight issues there, but I was just saying it's sort of tricky because I don't know. Because at the end of the day, if a cryptid is discovered, then it would be an animal that we just know. So if there's an unknown fish, but can it be can a subspecies be a cryptid?
I don't know. You're the one who's supposed to know about cryptids. I'm telling you it's a philosophical issue of your own belief as someone who's looking for these creatures. What you will be satisfied with, what the average, believer will be satisfied with. And that's not an answer that I can answer. That's not something I can answer because everyone will have a different opinion.
Yeah. This debate has gone a bit derailed though.
But I do really like the angle. I hadn't even considered that some government had just put the seal in there as a little experiment, because we know that like Russia, North Korea, and China, I mean, lots of governments, but they have done a lot of things just out of curiosity biologically. And those are really isolated regions, and they're really cold. And
they've already admitted to putting other animals in there. So
well, that's not as weird because it's very normal practice to stock mountain lakes with fish for sport fishing.
Okay.
I mean, just today I saw...
But it didn't seem to be for sport fishing, though. I think it was more just for research.
Oh, well, still. Like, I know that Russia, for example, does a lot of sketchy things. I just saw this thing today, and I'm not sure how real it is, but it was like, this is really upsetting. Trigger warning about animal abuse. But, like, they grafted 2 dogs together to see what would happen.
What?
Yeah. So they do stuff like that. And Russia and North Korea and China, they're all like friends basically, or they have been. And I wouldn't put it past them to be like, we have this seal from Lake Baikal. Let's see what happens.
And if there was a seal there, would that mean the Tianchi monster was real?
I guess.
Okay. You're supposed to be arguing against.
Oh, but no, I just thought that was interesting. But you already heard my argument that it's very unlikely that...
You went... Sorry, go ahead.
It's very unlikely that it stocked itself with fish or seals, and it's not the same as Lake Baikal, and how can an animal even survive? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've said it. I've said what I think.
Yeah, I think you made a lot of good points. I think the only angle I can take is that maybe there was some government intervention that caused the sightings.
Yep. Or the people are all, maybe they're just seeing things, or they're all paid off, or maybe they're not even real.
You're dropping some bombs here. What?
I'm just saying, like, we don't know these 100 witnesses.
But there are photos as well. There's photos of something.
Well, I haven't seen any good photos. I haven't seen anything good that was at all convincing.
If the photos are real, I guess it's easy to fake photos.
Yeah.
All right. I think we spent a long time debating the philosophy of this.